Joycelyn Ignites podcast. I am so excited today to have
Mm.
a conversation with Jessica Dixon. Oh, you all have got to hear her story. It is so amazing. She is the owner, CEO of a clothing line called Modesty Image, and I can't wait for her to share about it with you. Jessica, welcome to Joycelyn Nights. How are you today?
I'm doing amazing, and thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. Before we jump in, I would love for you to just share with our listeners just a little bit about yourself, whatever you would like to share with us.
Well, my name is Jessica. I'm a mother of two daughters, and I'm a vegan cook and an entrepreneur. I love Jesus. I love his people, and I'm excited about this new year, what he's going to do. So
Well, I am so excited about talking with you. And, I think we met, well, we did meet at, I can't remember the name of the place, but we met at,
Gray Line Station,
it's
Julie's
the, yeah,
Market.
yes, yes. I
Yeah.
was coming through there and you had a booth there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I love your t-shirts. I love them. I love them. And um, so I said, you've got to be on the podcast. So I'm so glad that
Thank
you
you
are
for
here.
having me.
I even have a favorite t-shirt, which I was hoping I was going to be able to get and be wearing today, but didn't get that.
Next
Call,
time.
Definitely next time. And you know what that one was, and I want you to share like how you got started and everything. But my favorite t-shirt is the number one beauty secret
Yes.
is Jesus.
Yes, yes. That's
Come
still
on, tell us the number one beauty secret is Jesus. I mean, that's so on point. Please share with us, like, how did you come up with that?
crazy,
Share with us
crazy.
about modesty image and how you got started.
Well, if I can be honest, when I first started, it was just like I was just talking to some friends, I was talking to my leaders, and I was like, I'm gonna start a clothing line. And they was all like, I don't think they was like shocked, but they was shocked because they was like, where did this come from? I have no entrepreneur skills, I had no business, no family line of business. Like it was just so random. And
Mm,
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a modesty image clothing line. And they was like, okay, we support you, all my friends and my family. And I came up with the number one beauty secret, Jesus, is because I wanted to show women that true beauty come within, not your outward
yes,
appearance. I
yes.
grew up focused on my outward appearance, and I realized that that lasts only a moment,
Come on.
and true beauty and true joy lasts with knowing Jesus. So that's how it
Yes.
started. And it's crazy. It took off. I mean,
Mm.
I was so overwhelmed how good it took off that I would turn my phone off
Oh,
because
wow.
I
That's
didn't
amazing.
know how to handle it because it was just an idea, but didn't know
Yes.
that God was giving me these ideas and these desires. So
Yes. Yes. And then it sounds like then people were hungry for what you had. It's
yeah.
like they were waiting for you to show up with
Hmm.
what you had to offer. I absolutely I love that because I think that this is so important. I say particularly for women,
Hmm.
because even just the beauty industry, Hollywood, all of that, it's so focuses on us not being modest. And
Yes.
that's something I would like for us also to maybe talk about just for a minute is like when how would you define modesty? Like, what does it mean to be modest?
I would say confidence in the Lord.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like you do have a certain confidence when you walking with God, when God is with you,
Hmm.
but not
Hmm.
like focus on yourself, like
Yes.
vanity, not vanity, you
Yes.
know? And like I said, like I know the difference because before I knew the Lord, I was vanity. But then as I
Mm,
grew with the Lord, it switched from vanity to confidence in the Lord because I know all my strength, all my hope comes from the
yes.
Lord. So I would say just having that confidence and knowing that everything is the reason I am because of him. Not everything's about me.
Yes. And that makes so much sense because it's like when we're getting dressed, if our focus is to be all about showing ourselves,
Mhm.
then that isn't modest, you
Yeah, yeah.
know? And most of the unfortunately, a lot of the clothes that we see on the racks these days is communicating, show yourself.
Mhm.
Show, for women to show all their curves, women to
Mhm.
show everything as much as they possibly can. And sometimes, I'm trying to think, like, I've been probably pretty modest. Maybe back in the day, I probably wore some skirts that were a little short, but I'm
I think we all
5'11".
have.
I'm 5'11", so it was hard for me to get some long ones anyway. But I still think that I've kind of, I guess maybe in some ways, been a little nervous about showing too much. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I know exactly what you
um,
mean. I mean, I was kinda like the opposite, so that's why I
mm,
think it's kind of funny how the Lord called me to this because, I grew up with, a family of everything is on you and
mm,
your beauty, and then when you came
yes.
into God, it was totally the opposite,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is important because I was talking to a friend one time. We were just talking about different things. It was like, before you leave the house, everybody ought to do two checks. You ought to do the front check and the back check.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I know in a conversation that you and I had before, you talked about how um, when before you get ready to leave the house, how sometimes you even just change that outfit,
Yes.
because share a little bit about that, like just how
Yes,
that happens sometimes.
it takes me a long time to get ready in the morning, and it's not because I'm, like, insecure or anything like that, but I know my call, and I never
Mm,
wanna be a distraction. um,
mm,
I wanna make sure, if you wear a dress, that you're not showing your panty line and having that
mm,
your Spanx on or your little slip under there just to give you that little
yes,
extra, protection,
coverage.
a
Mm-hmm.
bra with the t-shirt. So it takes me a while and, just to get ready because I still wanna look cute, but at the same
Yes,
time, especially if I'm serving at church, I wanna make sure that,
yes,
so yeah, so it takes me a minute.
absolutely.
I might change a couple times. My daughter would come in, "Mom, you're still not ready?" I'm
And it's so
coming.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah, that we be mindful
yeah,
of what we're wearing, especially, I mean, I think every day, but particularly even on Sundays
yeah,
when we're, if we're going to be, whether we're actually in front of people or not, we do need to take a pause and say, okay, how is this going to translate,
yeah.
in,
I totally agree, and I feel like, I mean, I know that some people have different convictions about different things, depends on what they're calling to, but I was even reading in the scripture how, like, those who love God, I think it was in First Peter 3:4,
Mhm,
it talks about if you say you love God, that's one
mm,
of the fruits of, being modest and
yes, yes.
focus on the heart, not your outward appearance. So,
Yes, yes.
mhm.
And really our outward appearance will be a reflection of our hearts.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know? You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
when we are wearing things that are
Yes,
really revealing, then that's an
that is
indication. Go
that is
ahead.
good. You're in the pocket. You're in the pocket. And that's the reason why I said number one beauty secret is Jesus, because
Hmm.
I'm talking about the heart. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So if your heart is good, even, just talk about scripture, how it talks about the fruit. You can tell a person
Hmm.
by their fruit. How you
Yes.
dress, you can tell
Yes.
about the fruit.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And I know, like, I always think about like wearing tight things, especially like on Sunday. Like, I want to worship, I don't want to
Mhm.
be, I don't want to be distracted, even myself with,
Mhm.
if I'm trying to pull that skirt down.
That is the worst. And I've been there before too. And I think that's
Mm,
what takes me. And I'm like one of those radical worshipers, first of all.
mhm, mhm. Yes,
I'm one of those, wow, that's just how I communicate with God, that I'm in my
yes.
own little lane. And so I don't need nothing short or splits or nothing because I already
Mhm.
know, first of all, that I'm a wild worshiper. So
See?
yeah, so I think it's important. And I think we're in a time of reformation. So I'm
Mm,
even seeing like just even people in leadership with tight. and it could be a distraction
Yeah.
if I'm trying to receive from work from you, but I'm looking, so I
Yes.
just been praying about that. I've been speaking a
Yes.
lot on that. And I
Yeah.
think it's an honor and didn't know that the Lord had
Mhm.
in store for me for this, but he did.
Yes, I think that's amazing, and I was just thinking about you're right, like, I mean, I think that we can be distracted by beautiful things,
Yeah. So
right?
I think we're in a time. Well, I think first of all, we're living in a time that everything's about me, me, me. So
Yes,
it's just we really, as people of God, we gotta make sure we're taking the focus off us and
yes,
putting it on Jesus. But we don't even know when we put it on Jesus. It's the Bible says, "Let your light shine." That is still,
yes.
but it's a healthy way shine.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, and that's probably, like, one of my fears, right, is, like,
Mm.
that especially, like, if I'm preaching or teaching, that I will have something on that's so distracting that nobody's listening
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
anything that I have to say, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so,
I
yeah,
agree.
so I love that. Well, when you look at your purpose, like how would you describe your purpose just, as a woman, not necessarily, I mean, of course, modesty image is a part of that, but
Yeah.
what is your how would you describe your purpose?
Well, I used to think it was just when I first got saved, I used to think, I know I'm in the help team. I
Mhm.
just love God's people. It's literally like a gift,
Mhm.
and I know, I mean, of course, everybody love each other, but I'm like, okay, sister such and such was missing. Let me call her. I used to,
Yes.
okay, that's my gift. I'm in the
Mhm.
greeting team, prayer team, but
Mm.
I realize it that is growing. I get to ask to speak at schools. One
Mm.
of my desires is the young people.
Mm.
I would say the age from middle school, high school, college. That's my sweet spot. That's my
Mm.
desire is for them to be successful. My desire is for them to know their worth and that they
Wow.
don't have to do all this stuff to get attention
Mm.
or to be accepted, that you're already accepted.
Yes,
So I would
yes.
say the young people,
Mhm.
the modest fashion. I love to tell people about eating healthy because
Okay,
I
yeah.
feel like that's a part of all of that,
It is, yeah.
eating healthy, your spiritual, how you treat yourself, because your body's a temple.
Yes,
So
yes.
everything, and it affects everything. So if I don't feel good, then I can't do the things of the Lord.
Come on. Come
If
on.
I'm tired, if I'm not
Mhm.
sleeping, then
Yes.
and then I'm showing up for God's people with 5%,
Come
like,
on.
So that's my desire is telling people to eat well, take care of their
Mm.
spiritual life, and everything
Mhm.
else will reflect that.
Oh, that's beautiful. So it's just around empowering others and just,
Mhm.
particularly that and, the next generation needs you.
Mm. Yeah,
That young right now, there's so much pulling at them. So
yeah,
what a blessing that is where God is calling you into that age range where, those that range is they have a lot more pressure
they do. They
than
do.
we had.
I work at the
And
college. I work
okay.
at the college, so
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny how, I know that's part of my calling, and then it's like, I'm around the young people all the time, and I
Mm,
remember when they started as freshmen in college, and then by the second year, they're a totally different person. Peer
yeah.
pressure, they're joining sororities, they
Mm-hmm.
just so many different things, they change, some of them for the
Yes.
better, some of them
Mm-hmm.
for the worse.
Yes.
It breaks my heart,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I want them to be successful. I want them to know that I'm here for them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of obstacles have gotten in your way, as you have, been pursuing your purpose as well as living into, being a clothing line, CEO, designer of Modesty Image. What are the obstacles that you've had to overcome?
Wow, I think that is an amazing question. First of all, I just want to say that because one thing I made a post today. I said, focus on, what did I say? I said, focus on how God sees you, the potential God
Mm,
sees you, not on your potential. So
yes.
I would say, it's been a lot because it's like I feel like I do have a high calling.
Mm-hmm.
So, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I overthink and I'm like, how this gonna work? I don't have the education. I don't feel
Mm,
like I'm. this person can do better. She's way better in fashion than I am.
Mm,
So I think I'm settling in as like, if he called me to it,
yes.
gonna see me through it, you
Yes.
know. But I think took years of like, well, I didn't grow up in church.
Mm,
I didn't go to college. You know, I just
mhm.
you can look at your stuff and you like, so
Yes.
sometimes that could be a self-sabotaging because it's
Yes.
like, because you're so focused on how can I do this that you're not trusting
Yes.
in God. So
Yes.
I think I'm at a point when I'm just settling in. I do it even if I'm scared, but I think it's
Mm,
a lot of like making sure I just keep healthy people around me, people that see
mhm.
stuff in me that I don't see, people
Mm,
praying for me,
yes.
um, making sure that spending time with God is a non-negotiable because I know
Yes.
that I have so many, because it doesn't even make sense the things that I get to do. So I
Yes.
know it's God. So I
Yes.
think I'm at a point when I just been very consistent in prayer and stand in my word because it's
Mm,
like I know I have a lot of responsibilities. So I
yes.
would say not feeling like I'm smart enough, not feeling like, oh God, can I do this? Well, nobody in my family had a business. How do this
Mm,
work?
mhm.
How and it's crazy. It's like I've been having so many success that would take people 10 years that I'm
Mm,
seeing because I'm walking with God in it and I'm
come
trusting. It's
on.
like, God, I'm scared.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I cry. I'm like, God, I don't know how you're gonna do this.
Yes.
I'm just gonna show up.
Come on. Come
And,
on.
and my desire is that even if I go scared, that a woman that feel that same way, like I don't feel like I'm good enough or pretty enough or smart enough, that they will go too, even if
Yes.
they're scared, you know.
Yeah. And I think as women, we all, I hear you really kind of sharing about the comparison, like how we are so good at comparing ourselves to others, our stories to others, and we somehow think, like you say, like, okay, I don't have what that person has, so therefore this isn't gonna work out.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, when God gives us something, He will make the way. He will make the path and the way straight. And so,
Yeah.
and that's the key. It is the key is doing it with God rather
Mm-hmm.
than apart from God.
Yes. And I had to learn the hard way because
Mm,
I'm a single mom and I grew up in the go-getter family,
mm,
like hustling family. So sometimes I would get a part of what God is saying and I will run
mm-hmm,
ahead of myself and I'll be disappointed. But now I'm walking with God. It's like, okay, God, what do you think? Yes or no? So
mm-hmm.
I've been seeing more success. I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I'm seeing more success in my life now because I'm getting every step. I'm slowing
Yes.
down and actually doing less is more. I
Come
thought I
on.
had to be everywhere and I get my name out, but actually just walking with God. He's the one that, you know?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And as you were talking, I was also thinking about, um, who has helped you? Like, especially this is like, have there been women that have been
Oh yes.
helpful? And in what ways have they encouraged you, come alongside of you, and to help you be the woman that you are today?
Yes. Well, I have a team of people.
That's beautiful.
I think that is like crucial. You know, I don't understand
Mm-hmm.
when people go through stuff and they're like, they don't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would tell all my leaders that I'm the one to confess. I'm the one to like, hey, I need help. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's very a part. I think it's
Yeah.
scriptural. And I think the warfare is not as harsh because you're
Mm,
constantly, hey, I'm
yes.
struggling in this. Hey, this is a fear of mine. Hey, so
Mm-hmm.
I go to a church and I have 6 pastors.
Wow.
So out of 6 pastors, 4 of them are ladies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Two of them are men.
Mm,
And they all are gifted in different
mm,
things. Like one is good in finance, one is good
mm,
at just the wisdom of God. One is good
mhm.
at just like a mother to me. So I get to be around all these amazing people and I can call them whenever
Yes, that's beautiful. And
and
then they are gifted. Sounds like they have the gifts that you need in order to help you to
yes, yes.
thrive. Yeah.
And then I go to a church where very entrepreneur and business.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to a teaching church, so it's
Mm-hmm.
very disciple teaching.
Mm-hmm.
The church is literally built to build God's people up. So
Yeah.
So I'm constantly in classes, constantly learning,
Mhm, mhm.
constantly calling, asking for advice, and
Yeah.
not feeling like, oh, this is too small.
Mm,
So
that's
yeah.
beautiful. And,
Mhm.
that's a great point too, because it is so important for us to be a part of a faith community,
Yes.
and not just, going to church on Sundays, but being a part of a faith community where the leadership sees the giftings that we have and helps us to develop them and calls them forth in and out of us so that we can be who God has created us
Yes,
to be. And
yes.
so
I
we
think
can
it
say yes to that call. Go
yeah, and
ahead.
then also I see a Christian therapist.
Amen. Hmm.
So I see a Christian therapist that I just need a vent,
Yep.
talk through, and then I
Hmm.
have my leaders, and then I
Hmm.
make sure I have good friends around me.
Mm.
I have all different type of friends, and I mean, literally, they're always praying for me, encouraging me. I even
Yeah.
have friends that just entrepreneur friends. So I think
Mm.
that's the key: having spiritual friend, entrepreneur friends, friends you can vent, friends you can have fun with.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And listen, that Christian therapist, I mean, I've been in therapy my whole life. I really feel like,
Hmm.
I mean, at least since I was 18, I've been going to a therapist, and I keep a therapist. We moved
Hmm.
to another state, and that was one of the first things I did was
Yeah, because
found a
sometimes you just need
therapist.
to vent,
Yes.
and you don't want it to be like maybe someone that you like. I just need to get this out. I just need to.
Yes. Yes.
But of
Mental
course,
health is
we.
important.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Tell me, what do you do to declare your worth? Because it sounds like your whole message is around knowing that you are worthy, knowing that you are valuable, particularly to God. How do you um, declare your own worth?
That's a really quick. All your questions are good. That's a really good.
Very good.
All your questions are good. But I would say the more I'm in my word and praying, the
Mm,
more I feel like I can do what God has called me to.
mm,
I have. It's only what March, and I've been going through breakthroughs that I never
mm,
experienced ever before. I
mm,
remember when times where I would hit certain things in my life, and I would hit it, and then I'm back at square one.
mm.
The back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm like maintaining, okay, I was sick, but I'm still praying. I'm listening to the word. I'm finding a
Yes.
discipline in my life that I never had before.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
realize when I spend time with God and pray and I'm honest with my friends and my family, I'm
Mm,
more who I need to be. But when I'm like,
mm.
going through a struggle and I'm not doing anything because I'm like, I'm in this, whatever this is, I
Yes.
find myself like not seeing myself
Mm.
how God sees me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's important, because it's only through the word that we discover who
Only.
we are and how uh much we matter and how
Yeah.
valuable that we are.
Yeah.
I love
And
that. I love
and
that.
I would say too, not all the time. I just want to pray all day. And
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
human. I'm a single mom. I have a full-time job in um a business. But one
Hmm.
thing I do is if I'm like, okay, I only have 5 minutes, I'm running behind, I'm gonna listen to the word.
Mm.
I'm a worship. I'm a listen to intercession music. And that
Mm.
intercession music just kind of get me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm doing things even when I'm like, I don't feel good. I have a
Yes.
strategy for that.
Yes.
When I am well, I'm doing certain things. So I'm almost on guard. And I think I've been seeing more success. I'm not even talking about business, but my spiritual life.
Yes, yes, which is priority, right?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
priority. Yeah. So tell me, what makes you, Jessica Dixon, unique, and how do you embrace your own uniqueness?
I would say what makes me so different is I come from like a really, really rough life. And I
Mm,
would say normal people who've been through what I've been through are hard and
mm,
have trust issues. They're on guard. They can't love. I literally went from this rough girl from the hood to
mm.
like the love of Jesus took over. So
Wow.
I would say I'm really known about like to people if people describe me. the joy of the Lord,
Mm,
and the joy of the Lord in how I love his people. And I
yeah.
think that's a miracle of itself, because when you come from a family that argue, that's angry and mean, and the rough life that I had,
Mhm.
normally you can even be saved and still be like kind of on guard.
Yes. Yeah.
But I
And
literally feel like he gave me a new life. He gave me a new
yes.
name.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
he
That's
gave me a new
beautiful.
name. So I would say that what makes me different, because because I would talk to certain people and they would like, so was you raised in church your whole life? I'm like, no, that
Woo.
was not my testimony. And I think
Mm,
that's a miracle, because how I love so much
mm,
that you like, oh, that girl been in church. She ain't had no rough life. Only by the
wow.
grace of God that I'm
Mm,
like this, you know.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's and you're right. Sometimes those experiences can make us bitter, and I would definitely say you carry so much joy. You have the brightest smile, and what is that people say you don't look like what you've been through? Come
Yes,
on now.
yes, yes, yes,
You don't
literally.
look like what you've been through.
Yes, and the Bible talks about blessed are the pure in heart that they may see God. And one thing I'm
Yes.
learning more than ever, that I think the most important thing for me is to guard my heart, because everything flow from it.
Mm,
Because I know when
yeah.
I'm hurt, I can't love his people. I can't love myself. I can't love God.
Mm,
I can't, everything
yeah.
flows from it. So I've been, very humbling, always checking in, always saying sorry. And, when you grew up in a family who didn't even say sorry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything that I was learned, I had to reteach.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What a testimony,
Yeah.
and what a witness to those that um, just that God is putting in your path. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And I think it's crazy, because I talk to people who are saved and not saved, and they'll be like,
Mm,
this is how I am. This is how God made me.
mm,
And I'm a living witness that if you submit to the process, and it's not
mm.
easy, of course,
Right.
it's not easy, but
Hmm.
you can change with Jesus'
Yeah.
help.
Yes, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Mhm.
And you are a testimony of when you try Jesus, transformation happens.
Mhm.
And when you're sold out,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't have one foot in,
That right there,
in.
you got to be fully committed,
Come on,
because there's a look when you're halfway in
come
and
on.
you're all the way in. And I think even me having this clothing, like, say if I wasn't a Christian, yeah, you'll have success, but you have the anointing when you have God. It's a different type of
Yes.
success,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's real
yeah.
beautiful.
Because I don't want
Um,
to be out here.
okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, no. So how do you strengthen your resilience? Like, how is it that you stay strong? I know that you read scripture, but are there any practices, very specific things that you do to make sure? And I know you've said several things, even before, therapist or worship, but, do you have a go-to thing? Like when life is maybe beating you up, do you have something like when I get to this point, this is what I do in order to strengthen
I
my
would
resilience?
I would say rest,
Mm,
a reset.
mm.
And you know what else I'm learning? To give myself grace.
Oh, yes.
One thing I'm learning, every time I go to Sunday service or any service, I'm like, God, I strip off religion. I strip off a checklist. I
Mm,
give myself grace.
mm.
And because when I first got saved, it almost like you gotta go to church. I can't miss a service. I can't. It's like
Yes.
I had to
Yes.
remove that.
Yeah.
I enjoy the reason why I'm at church. I love the Lord. I love, because I know I've been fighting with devils all day at work and all this, and then I
Come
get to
on.
come to church and just I can be myself. I can say my failures. I can say, my weakness. I can give
Mm.
God. So
Yes.
I think for me is giving myself grace. That's something I have to
Mm.
learn to do, and setting boundaries, because I know when I'm stressed, is because I had a boundary that I let someone,
Mm,
um, how would I put this? I let someone, I just gave in. I had a boundary, but I gave in because a part of my gift is I love well, but
mm.
sometimes it can go into people pleasing.
Ooh,
So one thing this year, I've been setting hard boundaries, and people are like, "Wait, what?" No, it's just I don't have a. You know, my pastor told me one day I was on the phone with her, and she said, "Jessica, you don't have to have a reason why you say no. I just
true.
can't do it." But that
Yes.
I was like, "What? I can do it."
I can just say no is a complete sentence. That's what I was
Yes,
taught. No is a complete sentence.
yes,
And it's so freeing when you just say no
yes.
and
And
without anything else.
let
Go
me
ahead.
tell you, when you come from rejection and when you come from like a rough life, and you can have that balance of like
What is?
people pleasing and
It's true.
like or that works and it's like nah, like I'm just tired, I just can't, I
Hmm.
just can't, and I don't have a reason why. I still love you.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
think because I used to say yes even when I wanted to say no, and then I'm stressed. And then you know
Yes.
what else I realized I'm not getting things done that God had asked me to do because I'm trying to take care of so many things that
Come
wasn't
on.
something I was called to do.
Come on, girl. Yes. And we've all done it,
Hmm.
right? We've all said yes to the thing that we know, like just because they said they needed us, we did it.
Yeah, and they be
And
crying.
and then be mad because we did it and be complaining because we got to go do it
Yeah,
and
yeah, and then
dreading it,
complain and get mad.
stealing all our joy. We don't want,
Straight,
don't have no joy to do it. None. You'd be like,
nothing, no
okay.
strength, no nothing. You know,
And yeah,
so
yeah, that
so I'm learning to say no. I'm learning
mm,
to give myself grace because I
mm,
think as a mother, we're built to love on people, love our
yes,
kids, love on our family,
yes,
and we're almost built to do a lot of things. But then we
yes.
have to step back and be like, I'm tired. I have nothing in me. I need a reset and a
Hmm.
charge. And I need to give myself grace because there's been times when I'm like, God, I don't have nothing in me. And I'll just sit at the table. And that used to be like, oh God, I didn't read my Bible all day. But now it's like, no, I was at the table. I put this time. I ain't had nothing in me.
Yes,
I know he sees me, he hears me.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and I was thinking about there is an article I read many years ago. I think I even have a blog about it. It's called The Divine No.
Mm.
It's really the whole premise of that blog or that article is, and I didn't write it, someone else wrote it, uh,
Hmm.
is that if we say yes to something we should say no to, then we actually keep someone who's supposed to say yes to that from being able to do it,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know? And so we actually block somebody else's blessing. That's the
Yes.
one thing. And I also think about the fact that because someone taught me years ago, uh, don't try to explain your no. Because when you start
Mm.
explaining your no, then what you're doing is you're giving them a reason to talk you out of it.
Mm.
Then they can come up with reasons for why. If you say, "Well, I can't do it because I gotta go to the grocery that day," then it's like, "Well, could you go to the grocery?" They can give you some solutions
Yes. Yes. And
to
I think
to help you say
sometimes,
yes. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I think sometimes as a Christian, people kind of manipulate us a lot because don't you supposed
Yes.
to be a Christian? Don't you supposed to? And Jesus set boundaries. He left.
Yes.
He went to go pray.
Yes.
He walked away. He had time with
Yes.
Jesus. Like so, if Jesus set boundaries,
Come on.
so I think I should too. And like I said, it's not easy, but I would say I said no more than ever this year. But it's been such a peace and a joy.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good at that moment, but I'm like, oh, I needed this time. I
Yes,
needed this.
yes.
I just wanted to watch a Hallmark movie. It don't even have to be.
Okay, right. Just to chill. Well, you've mentioned several times about being a single mother,
Mhm,
and having two daughters. And, I'm sure there are people who are listening who, women particularly, who are single moms, and, perhaps share with them if they're thinking about starting a business, starting a ministry, going back to school.
mhm.
Um, how can you encourage them, single mothers particularly, who maybe are even having a hard time right now,
Yeah.
maybe they're feeling hopeless, about the future. What could you share with them that could encourage them?
I think that's a really good question. And I know I keep saying that, but it's a really good question because this is something that the Lord had to take me through because that was
Mm,
my number one excuse is like, I can't do this because I don't have a babysitter. I can't have a business because I don't have a babysitter. I can't
mm,
do this because my I had a rough life. So I don't want my kids to have a rough life because I'm always gone.
mm,
But I think you can do both. I
mm.
think you can have a balance. You know, I literally I talk to my daughter. My daughter's 9 years old. I have a 20-year-old and I have
Wow.
a 9-year-old. And
Okay. Ooh.
I talked to my 9-year-old one day and I said, you know what? I talked to her just like this. I said, you know what, babe? Mommy have a really important event in Louisville. It's for
Mm,
3 days. I said, I need you to come with me and help me. I said, then
mm.
after that, we'll do something special. And she
Yeah.
said, okay. And she
Yes.
helped me. I got her snacks. I got her
Mhm.
bags. And and I said, honey, this is providing for us. So
Mhm.
sometimes we just got to include them in and tell them what's going on. And
Mm.
don't let that be your excuse because it's always going to be something. So I think
Mhm.
as women, we just got to learn how to like work through it. And
Yes.
sometimes I'll get a babysitter, but a lot of cases I just bring her with me. And
Yes.
I teach her, I say, hey, I know this is probably not a fun place for you, but afterwards we'll do something fun. I know,
Uh-huh.
so you just have
Yes.
to, and then, pray about it. God, I need friends. I need babysitters. I literally pray for babysitters.
Mm.
I pray for connections. I
Mm.
literally pray for everything that I need. I need a new truck because I have all my product with me. I have a
Mhm.
Camry. So I pray for babysitters. I pray for friends. I pray
Mm.
for people to pray for me. Like I pray for that. So I
Yes.
think that was my number one excuse. But now it's like I'm not letting that be my excuse anymore. Sometimes she's gonna have to go with me. Sometimes I have a babysitter.
Mhm.
And sometimes we just have to tell our kids, "Hey, you gotta go. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We'll do something fun after. Bring their crayons, toys, whatever you gotta do so you can take care of your business." So,
Yeah. Now, how
mhm.
do you get things done as a single mother? You talked about you have a job, you
Mhm.
know, you're got, you're a mom. How do you get the things related to your business done with 24 hours in a day? Because it sounds
I
like, whew, share that with the
yeah,
listener.
it's totally the Lord because some days I just cry. If
Mm.
I can be honest, I think we need to be real. Some days I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't got nothing in me. How can I take care of my daughter and have a business and work a full-time job?
Mm.
But that goes for me setting boundaries.
Mm.
When you set boundaries, you have more time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
so setting boundaries. I would say I used to feel bad because I'm not fixing my daughter a 4-course meal every
Mm-hmm.
day. She
Yeah.
don't even want a 4-course meal a day. She probably just wants some ramen noodles.
Okay.
I'm trying to make mashed potatoes, this, that,
Yes.
this,
Yes.
So giving myself grace.
Mm.
I'm a health nut. I love to eat healthy, so I always have fruit,
Mhm.
healthy stuff that she can grab while I'm busy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I do things that kind of um, that she can grab quick. I'm
Yes.
educational. I keep coloring books. I try to do stuff that frees
Mhm.
me up or keep her busy, give her a snack. So
Mhm.
it helps. But when I don't
Yes.
have that and I'm trying to make a 4-course meal, run a business, go to work,
Yes.
I'm stressed. So you
Yes.
got to do, every family is different. So you got to do what's best for you and give yourself grace. Maybe you
Yes.
can't cook a 4-course meal till Friday and
Come
Saturday.
on. Mhm. Yeah.
So just little things like that.
I love that. I mean, that really even just speaks to me because, we're raising our grandkids,
Hmm.
and sometimes I have all of that, where I'm like, oh, I got to do a podcast. I'm going to write, and not spending time with them.
Hmm.
And that does create that, that guilt. But one of the things I was thinking about with as you were talking which is I've even had to say to myself, especially as it relates to my granddaughter, is that my prayer is that she's going to grow up just like your daughters are going to, grow up and say, look at what have seen my mom do. and you are showing her, work ethic. You are showing her how to live out her faith. You are showing her how to not just, separate work from church and all of that. Like you're integrating it all. And she's seeing the same mom that you are at home, which of course
Mhm.
nobody's perfect, is who you are when you're out. So,
Mhm.
just I love the fact that, you're being that example to your daughter,
Mhm. That
and our girls need to see that. And that's my biggest prayer, even for my granddaughter, is that I am teaching her what being a woman who has these gifts
yeah.
and businesses and things like that, what that looks like for real,
Yeah. I I
and
I
yeah.
I would say too, coming from a broken home,
Mm,
I think it's important to have that balance. My daughter's having a different life that I never had. She
mm,
literally plays all day. She's safe. She don't have to experience shooting and killing and drive-bys.
mm.
That was my life growing up. I
Wow.
own my home. Nobody in my family own their home.
Wow.
So she's experiencing a totally different life that I ever had. And I
Wow.
explained that to her. Hey, mommy got to work, because I think when you,
Mhm.
when you bring them in, it do makes it easy. Because if the
Yeah.
kid don't know, it's like, oh, we got to do this again. We got to do that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like Sunday, I went to church and I had classes afterward. I had church service, and I told my daughter I was going to take her to the movies, but I was tired, and I was like,
Mm,
you know what, Layla, I'm tired. We're just gonna go home. And she just started crying. And she's not
mm,
a crier,
mm,
and she just bust out and started crying. And I said, you know what, let's go. And I was tired, but I end up enjoying the movie. We
mhm.
end up having fun together. But it's
Yeah.
like you gotta have that balance. It's like you okay, we work, 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 but you gotta make sure you spend time with your kids, talk to your
Yes.
kids. And that's something that I didn't have growing up. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Well, I'll tell you what, Jessica, you are a joy, and I have so just enjoyed this conversation. Um, I look forward to just seeing what else God is going to do in and through your life. Before we end, can you just share with the listeners, how can people contact you or get in touch with you? How can they purchase a T-shirt? Give people your information.
well, I'm on all social medias. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, I am Modesty Image. On Instagram, I'm Jessica Dixon 88. And on Instagram is Modesty Image. I mean, on TikTok is Modesty Image. So,
Wonderful.
so
Well,
you can reach.
listen, I you know, there's no doubt God is going to continue to enlarge your territory more and more and more, because um, you're just so full of joy. I mean, that is definitely how I would describe you, and I'm just so grateful that you uh, were able to be a guest on this
Oh, thank you for
podcast, and I
having me.
appreciate you so much. Is there anything before we close out? Is there anything that you would like to share that you did not get to share?
I just want to speak to the person who feel like they don't measure up,
Mm,
or I can't do this because I'm a single mom, or I don't have what it takes. Just to give
mm,
yourself grace, and that you can do all things through Christ who strengthen you. And
mm,
I'm a living witness that it doesn't matter where you came from or your capabilities, but
mm.
with God, you can do it. So
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for just for the conversation.
thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate you.
having me.